So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Permits Simplified, from mobile to dashboard, a live walkthrough. My name is Janice. I'm a senior digital consultant with Novade. And together with me today are Jiaqi, our technical sales manager, as well as Sojung, our product marketing manager. So Jiaqi will take us through a series of live demonstration of the permit to work process on our Novade platform. And Sojung would introduce our very own Novade Academy courses, which will equip administrators and users with the relevant knowledge to navigate our platform. We will leave some time towards the end of the webinar for question and answer. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to leave it in the chat. All right. Okay, so what is permit to work? So a permit to work is more than just a control process. It is more than a permission to start a task. Okay, so it is used to communicate and authorize higher risk work. For example, we can see over here, there is electrical work, lifting, confined space, hot work, work at height, and excavation, just to name a few. So although PTW is more commonly used in construction industry, but the same need exists in many other industries. For example, oil and gas, pharmaceutical, manufacturing, and recently we even have port operators coming on board. So PTW can be used in any other operations where people, assets, and simultaneous activities must be coordinated safely. So the difficulty is that many teams, we still deal with fragmented information. For example, incomplete submissions, having to repeatedly chase for approval, as well as limited visibility of conflicting work. So with Novade, we can actually help you to manage the full process from start to end. So for example, the application, the approval, the monitoring, and the closure. So digitization should therefore do more than just to replace a paper form. It should help teams capture the right information, make the right informed decisions, and see the wider operational picture. Rather than describe the feature one by one, let us jump right in to see how this works in practice. So Jiaqi will first show us the web experience, and then she will take us through the applicant and reviewer journey on the mobile. Jiaqi, over to you.
Yep, thank you, Janice. So let us now all imagine ourselves for this part of the demo. And on the dashboard itself, we are able to visualize key PTW information across the different projects and work areas that we are managing. Right, so at the top right-hand corner, using the filters button, we are able to narrow down the data based on what we want to focus on for today as well. So for instance, let's say for today, we want to be looking into the Elite 01 project and get an overview of all the different permit activities that are happening under the Zone B location. So once we hit onto the apply button, dashboard information will be automatically filtered down to show the relevant information. So the dashboards are also fully configurable with no code required. So this means that any indicators, pie charts, and bar charts can be fully adjusted according to what the safety team or the operation team wants to monitor. So for instance, we can be having key indicators at the top displaying the number of high-risk activities that are happening for today, the number of permits that are currently pending for approval, and so on. Right, so these are useful because in the case if there are a high number of permits that are pending for approval, this would then imply that people on site can't actually proceed with their work activities, right? And this could lead to potential job site delays. So the dashboard itself, it helps the safety officers to be able to quickly identify where their attention is required. The dashboards, they're also fully viewable. So in this case, let's say for today, all of us want to be reviewing this 43 permits that are pending for our approval. If we click onto the indicator, we'll be brought into this page where we then can click into each and every of this permit that has been submitted and review their details. Right, so this brings me to the end of what we can visualize and do within the dashboards, and I will pass the time back on to Janice.
Okay, thank you, Jiaqi, for giving us a high-level overview of our Novade dashboard. So in case any of you don't know, so we have dashboard that can help you to drill down to the relevant filters to see the specific content that you want. And then also all the widgets are actually dynamic. So you can see instantly when you filter by a template, you can see the instantaneous result of like how many numbers are pending approval, how much are valid today, and how many are overdue. Okay, so let us now then focus on the quality of the data that is being captured at the point of work. Okay, so Jiaqi, do you mind showing us from the start how does an applicant actually create a permit to work on the mobile phone on Novade?
Yep, so to do that, I will be showing the mobile interface of Novade, and let us now switch out our roles to become permit applicants. Right, so all we need to do as permit applicants is to navigate to the project that we are working on for today, open up the relevant site plan, click onto the plus button at the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and select the type of high risk work that we'll be executing. So for today, all of us are going to be working on the excavation activity. So once we click onto the excavation PTW, we can simply drag and drop the pin at exactly where we'll be executing this high risk work. Once the pin is dropped, it will automatically bring us to the excavation PTW where we can start infilling in more details. So from here, we can already see that certain information within the permit has already been pre-populated, right? So for instance, the applicant name, the company name, and the project details. So this helps to reduce the amount of manual entry that is required by the applicants, thus streamlining the entire submission process and helps to minimize any potential input errors. So if we go down further within the PTW, the applicants can also start adding in people and assets that are involved in this excavation work. If I were to tap onto personnel involved, this would only be showing a list of workers who currently holds a valid qualification to be carrying out the excavation work in this case. So I'm going to be applying one of them. The same thing for assets as well. If I click onto assets, it will show a list of assets that's relevant to the excavation scope, and all these assets currently have a existing valid certification for operational use. Right. So as we go on, having this feature help us to stay compliant by ensuring that only qualified people and certified assets are able to participate in these high risk work activities. So as we go on to the other parts of the permit, we can start infilling in more information such as the validity dates of the permit. So the applicants can just simply tap onto these fields and adjust the timings accordingly to the actual planned work schedule. Right. So of course, we can be adding in any remarks and description of the job activities as well. And we can also be indicating the exact location of where this excavation work will happen. So this can happen either through a selection of the drop-down fields, or if there's any location QR code that has been pasted on site, the applicants can just simply scan the QR code and the detail will be automatically filled in. Right. So in the case where we want to ensure that permit applicants are on site before they submit this PTWs up for submission, we can always prompt the applicants to capture a live photo of the work location. So when the applicants hit onto the camera button, it's going to directly pop up the device camera, and the users will have to capture their work location. Right, so this is very different from allowing users to attach a photo from their gallery, because that photo could be an image that was taken 3 days ago when they were on site. Right, by requiring a live photo, it helps to ensure that these applicants, they are indeed physically on site, checking through the various site conditions before they submit up the PTWs. Within the permit itself, we can also link in other relevant safety checks and safety documents. For instance, if there are any pre-start checklist or asset checklist that is required, the applicants can just simply click onto Add Form and trigger a separate process. Right, so from now what I'm showing on screen, this is actually a daily excavator checklist which has a different content and follows a different set of submission and approval workflows, which will then be routed to the relevant teams. So the same process that we have for the toolbox meetings. If there are any toolbox meetings that's already been conducted in the mornings, the applicant can simply click onto the respective toolbox meeting and link it directly to the permit. Right, so for any safety documents such as the safety work method statement, the users can either upload it from their device or link it directly from the document library within Novade itself. So this allows all the relevant documents to be kept within the PTW within the PTW record for easy reference during the review and the approval process. So the relevant stakeholders, they do not actually have to toggle in and out between other interfaces just to find out if the necessary safety checks are done and coming back onto the PTW again for another round of approval. right? So as we continue on through the PTW, we can see the different checklist questions that the applicants needs to complete for the scope of excavation. So for questions that are marked with an asterisk, this would indicate a mandatory question. So if they are not filled in, there is no way that the applicant would be able to submit the PTW. So by doing this, it helps to ensure that all PTWs are actually filled up properly for approvals, and we will not be rejected simply because of missing information or incomplete document submission. So once we are done with the entire submission of the PTWs, we can validate through the details and make changes accordingly. So if everything is okay, we can just hit onto the mark as submitted button as the applicant, and our signatures will then be recorded alongside with the date and time, as well as the location of where we have submitted the permits. Okay, so
Thank you, Jiaqi.
sorry. Just an additional point. So at the same time, as the applicant submits the PTW for approval, the relevant stakeholders in the next state of the workflow will also receive notifications via email or in-app notifications to notify them that PTW has been submitted and is now pending for their reviewer. So that sums out this sums out how the permit applicants can submit the PTW up for approval, and I will pass it back to Janice.
Thank you, Jiaqi, for the very comprehensive demo. So what we have seen is not just a simple digital form. So the applicant is being guided to provide the relevant information, select the appropriate people and assets, and complete all the necessary checks to make sure that the permit is complete and ready for approval. So this actually helps to reduce a lot of incomplete submissions and all the different unnecessary back and forths, making it more streamlined and efficient for the permit approval and submission process. Right, okay. So another major concern that we often hear from our clients is risks that are difficult to spot when permits are reviewed one at a time. So for example, two high-risk permit may be accepted individually, but will create a hazard when they overlap in the same area and during the same time frame. So Jiaqi, can you show us what happens when the system detects this kind of conflict or overlap, and how can the reviewer actually make informed decision to understand the conflict before proceeding with the permit? Let me share.
Okay, thanks, Janice. Okay, so there are actually a few ways to be detecting conflicting activities within Novade itself. So the very first way is actually through each and every workflow step within the PTW itself, right? So here I am showing on the mobile screen if an excavation permit has been submitted at this date and time and this particular location. So as the approvers, if we were to hit onto the workflow button, and if after validating through the details, there's nothing of non-compliance, we're going to be hitting onto the validated button. So from here, if there's any potential conflict, it's going to pop up this message or this alert to tell us as the approvers that there's a potential conflict happening at the same date and time and at the same location, right? So if we were to hit onto the link PTW over here, this is going to show us the link. This is going to show us the PTW record in more detail. Right, so this then allows the team to assess whether if this is an actual clash and decide whether to proceed, to reschedule, or to even request for further clarification. So the second way is actually through the site plan itself. So if I go on back onto drawings and open up the grid line, so we can see that within the site plan, there are many different icons or different pins. So each of these pins is represented by a different set of icons. So for example, for an excavation permit, it could represent the excavation activity. For hot work permit, it could be represented by a fire icon. So if in the case that we are the ones that's approving the excavation permit, we could open up the site plan and we'll be able to visualize that there's actually a completing hot work activity that's happening within a close proximity, right? So this helps to provide visibility to the safety team so that we can then better assess if this is a natural clash and decide what kind of action to be taken from here.
Okay, thank you, Jiaqi. So we have followed one connected process. So visibility on the web, guided capture in the field, qualification checks for people and assets, including the relevant supporting checklist, toolbox meeting, all contained within the permit, as well as finally the early visibility of potential work conflicts. Of course, a reliable digital PTW process also depends greatly on how it is configured and maintained. For example, the template questions, the workflows, and the different automations that is required. To help administrators build that capability, Novade has launched our dedicated Novade Academy courses. Seojung will now share with us more about how we can navigate to that. Seojung, over to you.
Thank you, Janice, and thanks, Jiaqi. That was a great demo. So now that we've had a look at how PTW works in Novade, I'm sure some of you might be wondering, so how do I set this up for my team? So the good news is we have a new course on PTW setup in our Novade Academy. For those who might not be familiar, Novade Academy is our free learning hub for all Novade users. So let me just show you how to access the Academy and also the courses. Okay, so here I'm logged in on web on Novade. So by the way, you can also access the Academy on mobile, but I'll show you the web first. I'll show you the web today. So on the top right corner, you can see the help icon next to our chatbot Noah. So if you click on the help icon, you can access the Academy from here. So once you click into it, you'll be redirected to the Academy page, the All Courses page, where you can see a bunch of courses for different topics like projects, form templates, people, and drawings. You can check those out, but today I want to go through the PTW course that we have recently launched. So here, if I click into the course, you can see the course overview for PTW. There's a button to start or resume the course if you have started already. And if I scroll down a bit more, you can also see the curriculum. So this course is mainly for admins or those who want to set up the PTW process in Novade. And it basically runs through how to import the PTW package from the library, including the predefined dashboards and PTW templates. Also how to modify the form fields, the workflow, and other settings like work conflict detection, which you just saw in the demo. On top of that, also, we have some automations that are relevant for PTW as well. So next, I'll show you a sneak peek of the course. So once you're in the course, you'll notice the course is consisted of some presentation slides with voiceover and also a few videos. So the course itself is fairly short. You can decide to watch the course in one sitting, or you can always decide to take a few lessons and decide to come back later. So it's completely self-paced. If you also want to check your progress, you can click Go to Dashboard. You can also access this from the top bar as well. And on this page, you'll see all the courses, all the courses that are in progress, the courses that you have just started, and also the courses that you have completed. Just one thing I want to share, if you go to a course that's been completed, you can also see that you can get your own certificate. So if I click here, I'll be able to see a certificate that you can always share on LinkedIn. And one last thing I want to share is our video library. Okay, so on the video library, if you just want a quick refresher or want to learn about a particular feature, you can go through all the video tutorials that we have. You can search them, or you can also filter them by topic. And we have also our previous webinar and once in a while of product demos as well. So feel free to check the video library out as well. And I hope this helps. And that's all from me today. Back to you, Janice.
Thank you, Seojung. Yeah, so those of you who are in this webinar, so please feel free to note down any questions that you have in the chat. So any questions that you have regarding permit to work, or maybe some specific use case that you are encountering and you're wondering whether it can be done on Novade. Yeah, so feel free to ask. Okay. Okay, so as Seojung demonstrated, Novade Academy is definitely a useful next step for all admins or even standard users to understand not only how to use the permit to work process, but also how to configure and sustain it for your organization. So the very good thing about our Novade Academy is that it is inbuilt within the platform. So there's no need to log into another platform to access. So just as long as you're logged into the Novade platform, you can then navigate to the Novade Academy to watch it, and even on your mobile phone as well. Okay, so if there are any admins in this webinar, please go ahead. I hope that you guys can go ahead to watch the courses so that you can better understand how to set up forms and workflow for your team. All right, okay, so we have now actually come to the end of our webinar walkthrough. Our key takeaway is very simple. It is to guide consistent preparation, give authorized teams live visibility, and retain a clear decision record. So we have around 15 minutes for Q&A. Yep, so feel free to write in the chat. Okay, I see Kai K has asked a lot of questions. Okay, so the first question is, how can I get a recap of specific forms? For example, all the revoked PTWs or toolbox meeting for this week. Okay, maybe this one, Jiaqi, do you want to show us on the dashboard view, how do we actually drill down and filter into the specific content that Kai K wants to see?
Yep, let me share my screen. Yep. So on the dashboard itself, we can have the indicators, right? So within the indicators, we could set up one that is simply meant for tracking the number of revoked PTWs. So if we tap onto the 2 revoked PTWs that we have here, we will then be directed on to the 2 revoked permits that we have within the workspace itself, right? So if you want to utilize more filters, then look into number of revoked PTWs from a particular project, then we can also make use of the additional filters that we have at the right-hand corner. So that would be the same of how we can then keep track of all the different toolbox meetings that has been submitted into the platform as well.
Thank you, Jiaqi. Okay, before you leave the screen, there is also another question about how to know that there is an ongoing form that requires his action. Yeah, so yes, so this one, yeah. Okay, so for any actions that are pending a user, so we have either a notification, so you would receive like a push notification to inform you that, okay, it is now your turn to act on a certain form. And then of course, we also have the dashboard view, which Jiaqi will show now. Yeah, so we have my actions over here that you can actually navigate to see what is the specific actions for all the forms that you would be next in line to act on.
Yep. So I think just a quick add-on to that as well. So both these are available on the web and the mobile interface. So on the mobile interface, we can also click under my actions and go on to actions required. And over here, there's actually a part on saving a preview. Right. So for example, if you are a safety officer and your main issue will be to keep track of all these different permits that's pending for your approval, you can save a view of it. You tap onto it, it will then directly narrow down the data to only show these different permits that's currently pending for your approval. So these are some additional settings that we have to help you to streamline your process.
Yeah, okay. So one last question from Kai K that will require Jiaqi's view. So how can I download forms based on specific drawing? Yeah, so for this one, we actually have a drawings. We have a drawings tab on the left pane. Then,
so going onto the drawings, and we just simply tap onto. We can apply filters. So if you want to only be exporting all the different PTWs that's happening for the week, you can make use of the filters. And once it's done, you can just directly hit onto the download button, and it will all be exported.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so please keep the questions coming. Feel free to ask anything that you would want to know about Novade in general. Maybe it's beyond permit to work. It is also okay. We will try our best to answer. Okay, so last question from Kai K. Which languages does the app support? Maybe this one, Seojung, do you want to take this question?
Okay, sure. What languages does our app support? Okay, so I believe we should be supporting English, French, Mandarin, Arabic, and Vietnamese. And this would depend on your mobile device setting.
Okay, then we have another question from Chippy. So what videos do you have around PTW setup? Is it in the course?
Yes, thanks for the question, Chippy. Maybe I should share my screen again. Okay, so within the course, of course, we have some videos. Let me just see if it's easier to share. The courses that you can find in the videos that you can find in the course, you can actually also find in the video library. Let me just show you. So if you go to the curriculum page, you can also get a quick idea of the kind of videos that we have. So we have a user flow demo, how to import the PTW package from the Novade library, managing the form fields for the PTW template, some of the automations to handle the form fields, and also settings like conflict detection and managing the workflow, the legal notice for PTW, and also the extension process as well. So we have quite a fair amount of videos on that, which you can also search in the library, in the video library as well. So you can see here some of the videos that I just mentioned, you can also find in the video library as well.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that answered my question. Yeah, your question.
Yes, it does. Okay. So, okay, we have another question from Christopher. So he's asking if a toolbox meeting needs to be conducted first before applying for a permit. Yeah, so in relation to this question, so we can actually inbuild like toolbox meeting, so as like a form, a punch form within your permit, so as to ensure that when the users are submitting a permit, the toolbox meeting has been done and conducted. Yeah, so there are ways that we can do and work around to ensure that a toolbox meeting has been conducted before a permit can be created and approved. All right, okay, so we have another question from Simon Rogers. So if I need a repeat PTW for the same task / location for the following day, can I copy today's PTW with all the details to send for approval? Yeah, maybe this one, Jiaqi, do you want to show a quick demo? Okay, okay, and then later we will be showing you on that. Okay, so I will go through the other questions first. So Christopher, you have another question. So which apps to use to install Novade? Okay, so very easy. So you can just go to your app store. So if you're using Android or Apple, you can just search for Novade, and then you would see this light blue icon, Novade logo, and then you can just click on download. So it is free for users to download. So just go ahead to install the app. Okay, Jiaqi, back to you on the application of the permit.
Okay, yep. So to show that, we can simply duplicate the permit and the relevant details by clicking onto the button over here at the bottom left of the screen. So once we hit onto the duplicate button, we indicate the reason. Right, and this duplicated permit will then has the previous details that's been previously filled in the previous permit itself. So you can then resubmit it and only make changes at the relevant different fields that is required and submit it up for approval.
Okay, great. Yeah. So to answer to Christopher's question, we can. So in fact, this is also one of the benefits. So you can duplicate permit for the following day. Of course, ensure that all the relevant details are being updated accordingly before you can submit it for the next day's approval. All right. Okay, let's move on to the questions. Okay, so Shi Qi. For those questions that I have missed, not to worry. So we will follow up with you separately. Okay. So Chong Shi Qi asks, is there a way we can export the PTWs created to be sharing to external parties?
Yep, there is. So again, going back to the screen. So it can be done on both the mobile and the web interface. So let's say from the mobile, it's simply tapping onto this icon that we have at the bottom of the screen, and it will be automatically exported into a PDF with the relevant details within the permit itself. Right, so we can also do mass exports as well. In the event if there's a safety audit, you can then be using the filters button on the dashboard to export a month worth of PTW records to submit it out for an audit.
Sorry, just now the question on duplication permit was from Simon. Yeah. All right. Okay. So Kenny has a question. Are we able to restrict subcon to apply PTW if the previous day PTW is not closed?
Yep, so I can take the question. So in the event if there's a permit that's been submitted by a subcontractor and it's not been closed, then what we can do within the interface is at the dashboard level, we can actually be monitoring all these different records, right? And as the approvers, we can actually be rejecting these different permits if the subcontractors have not closed up their previous permits. And notifications will also be sent as well, right, to inform them of all these different permits that they need to be closed at the point of workflow stage.
Yep. So Kenny, so we don't have like a restriction per se, but we have ways to use dashboard to navigate. Okay. Okay, there is a question from Kai. One of the projects my team work on is offshore. We don't really have internet connection. Does the app work offline? So this one, so this one maybe I will take it. So yes, our application can work offline. So just make sure that there is internet connection while you're opening the app, and then you can open a template first. So you can, for example, when you have a stable internet, you create a permit first, let the template load first, and then while you go to your offshore platform, you can then fill in the relevant information. And then, so while you have internet connection again, you just need to sync, and then the data would then be synced to cloud. Okay. Okay, yeah. So please keep the questions coming. We still have a bit of time left. Okay, so another question: how do I revoke a PTW, and will everyone on the project be notified? Okay, yes. So okay, so this one, yes, we can revoke a permit to work. So basically it's all how you set up the workflow template. So you can revoke. We have ability for a revoke button. So after we have revoked, and then so the users that has been participating in all of the previous workflow of the permit, they can be notified as well. Okay. Okay, we have another question from Willem. I use an Android phone with German language. The app opens in English, but calendar is in Mandarin. What can I do now? Okay, this one, phone is in German language. The app opens in English. Okay. So first of all, so German is not like an official language that our app supports. So if let's say the app opens in English, it is normal. Okay, but the calendar is in Mandarin. Sorry, this one, which calendar do you refer to? Yeah, Willem, do you mind sharing what calendar? Yep, Jiaqi, feel free to add on. Okay, but anyway, okay, so Willem, so we will follow up with you after this webinar to help you to troubleshoot. Okay, please ask more questions. Okay, Ryan, with forms that has scoring enabled, is there a way to make a question non-applicable that removes the question from the total score? Thanks for your help. Okay, so this one is something that is doable. Yeah, in fact, recently we have also helped client do the same thing. So Ryan, we can follow up with you separately on this specific use case. Okay. Okay. Okay, Willem. Okay, so Willem replied, when I draft a PTW to set the dates. Oh, okay. Meaning the valid date icon that is in Mandarin. Okay, that one, okay, Willem, we will follow up with you after this webinar. Okay, and then we will help to see what is. Okay, Chippy, how do I reach your support team? Okay, so in order to reach our support team, okay, so you can either you can send an email if you want. So you can actually you can even log into the Novade application, and then you can try, if let's say there are some questions. So just to introduce you guys on our Noah chatbot. So we also have this AI-powered assistant where if you have any initial questions, you can try to give Noah a prompt first. Okay, and then if it still does not clarify your question, you can send an email to support@novade.net. Okay, support@novade.net, and then our support team will get in touch with you. Okay, the other question. Okay, so please keep the questions coming. Yeah, so this is the best chance that you can clarify any doubts that you have. Okay, Kai asks, on Novade Academy, would I be able to revisit the courses after I finish? Yes, so this one, okay, maybe Seojung, you can jump in, but yes, definitely you can go in and then you will see the percentage of the courses that you have completed. So for example, if you are at the first course, you are maybe 30% in. So when you click in again, the system will recognize that it is at 30% and then you can go on to continue the course. Okay, yeah. Seojung, do you want to add on anything for this question?
No, I think you pretty much answered. Just now, Janice, I think when you provided the support email, it's actually novade.support@novade.net.
Okay, sorry.
No worries.
Okay, so Christopher, can PTW be created on mobile to be sent by email to be approved? So this one, as of now, no, we are not able to do it. So if it's on mobile, so the user, the approval level, they would receive the mobile notification, okay, and then he can go in to see and get an overview of the permit to work content. Yeah, so it is actually very easy. So everything is on mobile. You can download, all approvers, all different stakeholders can download the application, and then once it reaches your part of the workflow, you'll be notified, or you can see under my actions, and then you will know what are the PTW that would require your action. Okay. So in what formats can I export my PTW reports? Okay, this one, Jiaqi, do you want to take this question in terms of the format?
Yeah, I can show. So for the current format of the PTW reports, it's going to be on PDFs. On the dashboard itself, we can then generate it via Excel by having a table where you can then plug in all the key KPI matrix, and that can be exported onto Excel.
Okay, so please continue to bring in your question. Maybe if you have no questions, maybe you can check maybe in terms of any how are you using permit to work now with Novade? Maybe just to share some of the use cases that may be useful. So otherwise, okay, maybe then we can let Jiaqi to share with us some of the more unique permit to work use cases. Yeah, Jiaqi, do you want to show?
I don't really have anything to show. I don't think we need to show it. But it's more of the case in because I think earlier in the call you mentioned about part that we are working in other industries as well, not only restricting to construction, right? So maybe we can do a little bit sharing on how the oil and gas industries are using the implementing PTWs on site, right? So for oil and gas industry itself, they are more stringent on safety, the safety controls, right? So they also included in other processes such as lockout and takeout, where they then manage the different isolation points that they have within the plant itself, right? So one way that we can then help to track this is to look into is to have a dashboard to be monitoring all these different isolation points, to be tracking if these isolation points are really being closed off before the permits can actually be approved for work. So that's one interesting use case that we have, right? So for
So in recent times we actually do have a lot of oil and gas clients. So if you know of anyone in the similar industry, you can feel free to inform them. So in terms of like the control process, even the time sensitive restriction, it is very, very crucial for oil and gas industry in general. And all those we are also able to help you to configure. Okay. There is a question on if there is conflicting work in draft PTW stages, will I be notified too? So meaning that while you are submitting the permit.
Yeah, the answer is yes. So while we are submitting the permit, we get notifications as well if there's really a valid and approved PTW working at the same date and time and location.
All right. Any final questions? All right. So, that brings us to the end of today's session. So thank you to Jiaqi, Seojung, and for everyone that has joined us today. So there will be a survey at the end of this webinar. So please feel free to key in your particulars. We will get in contact with you. Okay, so you can check with us on any processes that your organization is keen to digitize and optimize. All right. Okay. So stay safe and have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.